Hello everyone, I'm Arunima from Knit and Otter, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make these Tunisian crochet slippers. These are very easy to make, so let's quickly go over what you'll need to make them. To make this I used Stroll Tweed fingering weight yarn from Knit Picks. This works up really nicely. It's nice and soft, it's warm, and it's the perfect size and weight for this. Aside from this, you'll need a Tunisian crochet hook. This is a E-hook, which is 3.5 millimeters, and I usually use a hook that is at least 2 sizes larger than the one recommended for the yarn for any project that I make, but this one is different. For this, I wanted a dense fabric, so something that would not stretch too much. So for that reason, I've used a hook that is almost the same size as recommended for the yarn, so that's 3.5 millimeters. If you want a more stretchy fabric, then you are welcome to go up a hook size, but this one works really well for this slipper, and I've used this hook to make this one, so you can see how it works up. You will also need a regular crochet hook, so a 3.25 millimeters is what I used. That is for this section where I've created this little border, and you'll need a tapestry needle to weave in tails, scissors, a measuring tape. That's very important in this project. I'm going to talk about the number of stitches mainly, but it is possible to alter the size of the slipper easily by using your measuring tape, and you need a bunch of stitch markers. So 4 stitch markers there, that's what you'll need. Those are optional, but I highly recommend using them, and I'll show you how. That's pretty much all you need to make these slippers. So in this video, I'm going to make this slipper, which is of size 8, US size 8, and that's the one that this plastic foot is wearing. So this is the size I'm going to use to show you in this video. The written pattern for this for these slippers would be on my blog, and I will have a bunch of sizes ranging from children to adults that you can make these in. So make sure to check out my blog if you want to make it in a different size, and that's pretty much it. Let's get started. So I'm going to first quickly talk about the construction of this slipper. So this is an extremely simple slipper to make. This is made from one rectangle only, so you just have to make one rectangle and then shape it into this. So it's really easy. What I've done is I've changed color on alternate rows, so that's the only one fun element that I've added to it, to the construction of this fabric. So you just make a rectangle, and there is after the construction then of the rectangle, then we just shape it into these slippers and then add this button. So you could use a pre-made button, a regular button, or you could make one like I did. So I made this button, and I'm going to show you how to do that in this video as well. And then we'll add a border, which is again optional. You could choose to add it or not add it depending on how you'd like it. So let's get started. So I'm using 2 colors. The 2 colors that I'm using in this pattern are the Stroll Tweed by Knit Picks Atlantis Heather and Down Heather. I'm going to start with the Atlantis Heather. I'm going to start with a chain 26. So we'll make our foundation row with 26 stitches. So that's what I'm going to start with. So chain 26, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 25, 26. And I'm going to make the foundation row stitches in the back loops of this chain So if you want to learn how to make the foundation row, there are multiple ways of making this, and I know that a lot of people also use different casting different methods to cast on. There are stitches, the foundation stitches, something like how knitters do, and I haven't tried it yet, but you're welcome to check out other videos on YouTube. I'm sure there are plenty, but I have a separate video for how to make the foundation row by making a chain first and then making these stitches. So I'm going to add a link to it below and in the description, and you're welcome to check it out there. So that completes the forward pass, and I should have 26 loops on my hook at this point. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26. So that's 26 loops on the hook, and I'm just going to make my reverse pass like I normally would by starting with the chain 1 and then yarn over, pull through 2 all the way till the end. So I'm going to stop here. I am actually not going to complete this row because I'm alternating different rows with different colors. So I'm going to change color at this point. Again, there is a separate video that I have that explains changing colors in Tunisian crochet in detail, but for this one I'm just quickly going to show you how to change the color at the beginning of the forward pass. So when you complete the previous row, you leave at the point that you have 2 loops on your hook, you go ahead and you complete the return pass with a new color, and that's how you change color. And we're just going to leave that one there and pick up the new color and start working the next row with that. So for the next row I'm going to just make Tunisian simple stitches, 26 simple stitches. And complete the return pass. So this is how it's looking after the end of the forward pass, and I'm just going to make the return pass starting with the chain 1 and then yarn over, pull through 2 all the way to the beginning until I have 2 loops left on my hook. And now I have 2 loops on my hook. I'm going to move this yarn over to the side, pick up this one and complete the return pass with the first color. And I'm just going to go ahead and make the next row of Tunisian simple stitches with this color. So I'm just going to keep doing this until I have a total of 123 rows. So this is a very repetitive pattern. It's a very simple pattern. All you have to do is keep making rows of Tunisian simple stitches and just make sure you change color after you make every row. And then change color again, pick up, move this yarn to the side, pick up the other one, bring it up and yarn over, pull through 2. So that's pretty much all there is. You just keep going. There are a couple of things I'd like to point out. So this, because we are using a very small hook, or a hook that is about the same size as what's recommended for the yarn, you will see curling, and it will be a fair amount of curling, and it's okay. In this project it doesn't matter, because if you see that when we construct this, even if it curls, this is where we join towards the end, and it will be fine. You don't really have to make sure that it's not curling. In other projects I definitely recommend going up a hook size if you see that much curling, but with this one it is completely fine. And just keep going, and you make 123 rows of this, and I will see you on the other side of this video. So here I am. I have already made 38 rows, I think. So this is curling like this, and it's okay for it to curl. As I said earlier, that I am using a hook which is not much larger than the one recommended for the yarn, so it's expected to curl, and I'm okay with that for this project. So I also know that this yarn blocks really well, so I'm fairly certain that when I put it on the blocking board, it's gonna sit fairly straight. It might curl just a little still, but it's going to sit fairly straight. So I'm going to try it a little bit later. But for now, you can see that this is how it's looking. I'm just going to continue alternating colors and just keep making rows of Tunisian simple stitches. Here I am going to change color again, so I'm going to move this to the side and pick up the yarn from here and make that last chain. So just make sure that you do this consistently, because if you look at the back, see that this is nice and even. So we're interlocking the yarn in the back very nicely, so you can't even make out that how the color change, where the color change happens. You have to look closely, so it's very nice and neat. Let's continue making the next row. So we'll keep doing this until we reach 123 rows. Here I am at row 121. I've completed 121 rows. Now going to make row 122. So I'm going to go ahead and complete this row, because I'm not going to change color now, because this is the last row before we make the bind off row. So we have now a total of 122 rows plus one foundation row. So this is how it's looking. It's quite a long wide rectangle. So this is I can't capture the full length of it on the screen, but here it is, and it's curling. It is curling, and this is how it's looking at the back. It's nice and neat. You cannot make out where the color change is happening. At least I cannot, just by looking at it. I have to look closely. So that's all you need to make these slippers. You just have to make this one long rectangle, and now I'm just going to go ahead and bind off. So for the bind off, you don't have to change color. Use the same color as you made the last row. So I like to end my row with the same color as that I started. So if you don't want that, if you want it to be the other color, it's completely fine to add another row if you'd like. One row is not going to make too much of a difference. You could add or reduce rows depending on what color you want to end it, because this will be joined with each other at the end. So I'm going to go ahead and bind off. So I used a slip stitch bind off. So you just make simple stitches and make a slip stitch. So simple stitch and pull through. So we're not adding loops to our hook, we're just casting off. And here's the last one. So you pick up the last two vertical bars, yarn over, pull through, and pull through that one loop on the hook. So that's it. That completes this full rectangle, and at this point you can cut the yarn and weave in ends. And here, this is how it is. So this is all there is. So I'm going to go on and block this before I start showing you how to shape this into these slippers. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to see you on the other side of this video. Here's the complete panel. I blocked it, and this fabric blocked really nicely with just water, and you can see it's not curling anymore, and both sides are flat. It lays flat. You don't really need to do this, but it was nice to do it. I didn't do it for this sample and it turned out just fine, so I'm going to make this one with a blocked fabric and we'll see what the difference is. But I did it for this and you can see that it sits flat, so I just blocked it with water and it turned out really nice. So now for the next part, we're going to start shaping this into the slippers. So you will need 4 stitch markers for this, and it's a little hard to capture the entire length of this fabric in the video, so I'm just going to tell you how to work this now. You'd have to count 33 rows from each side and put a stitch marker on the 34th row on both edges. So I'm going. Okay, so let's start counting here. It's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 33 and 34. So this is the lighter colored row where we are going to add stitch markers on both edges. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So here it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 33 and 34. This light colored row, because we had the same color at the end, so we will have the stitch marker at the same colored row. If you ended your fabric with a different color, then it would be different rows on both sides where we'd be adding stitch markers. And that's it. So now we know where our center is going to be, and I'm going to show you how to shape this. Now I'm going to flip this so the wrong side is at the top. Sorry about the noise. So here, and now I'm going to take a tapestry needle. I've got this thread of the darker color that I'm going to use, but you could use any. And I'm going to weave this thread in from one side, one stitch marker to the other, all the way over here. So I'm going to begin from here. I'm going to pick that. So I'll start with weaving in this end from this side, so I don't have to take care of it later. That will take care of it. So I have this longish thread because we're going to do the bottom portion. This is going to the bottom part of the slippers. So here, this is the top and this is the bottom. This is the part that we're making, and then we'll seam the edge. So I'm just going to weave this in. and until the stitch marker, until the point where the stitch marker is. So this is how it is right now. I've woven this yarn. So I've woven this yarn over here along this edge, and then I'm going to pull it to a close. So cinch. Actually, I'm going to remove these stitch markers because I don't need them on this side anymore. That's 2 less markers that are going to make this tapping noise. I'm really sorry about that, but I can't really remove the other ones right now. So here, just pull it really tight and then find that other side where we started. And if you can't find it, you can always use the stitch marker and follow the line and see, okay, this is the one where we started from, and insert your needle here and pull it close, really tight. Make sure you don't break the yarn, but just really tight, and lock it however you need to. So I'm just going to do this. This is how it is. There's this little gap over here, so I'm just going to close that. Here, that's closed now. So this is how it's looking. And now I'm going to seam this edge over here. This is going to be the bottom. So we just did this. We closed this, and now I'm going to seam this. So you can see that you can line up these stitches on both sides. So this is the 34th row here, and it's this one over here. So just make sure that you have those lined up so that you can easily seam the edges. Okay, there we go. So now you can see that all of them will just line up all the way till the end. See that all of these lined up because there were equal number of rows on both sides to the very last row here, and that completes the seam for the bottom. And now we're going to do the back here. Again, the number of stitches will line up exactly over here as well. The only one difference, the only one thing that I would like to point out over here is, so if you look at the back over here, I overlapped these two panels just a little bit here. That is because to give it a nice shape, because if you wear this, it will stay on your foot better. If you'd rather not do that, you can just seam the two edges straight. If you would like something like this, then I'm going to show you how to do that here, but I'm going to overlap 3 rows here, and I'm going to seam it that way. So I'll just start doing that from here now. So when I'm reached about a little over half of the height, I'm just going to overlap these by 3 rows. So that's 1, 2, 3 here, and I'm going to sew it in here. I'm going to do it from the other side, from the front as well, to make sure that this is nicely closed. I am playing yarn chicken here. I think I'm gonna lose, but we'll see. Yeah, if I had a little more yarn, I would have done this, made these stitches a little more close, but I'm trying to conserve. Here, I think I have it. And that's it. And now we can just weave this in. Bringing it to the back, and I'm going to weave this in. And that's it. So cut this tail. And here, so we've closed the bottom, and we've seamed the edge here, and we've seamed this back with this little bit of an overlap. So the only part that's remaining for shaping is making that front toe cap at the top. So we're going to do something similar to what we did for the bottom. We're just going to weave in yarn in that entire section between the 2 stitch markers, and we will cinch close. So for this, I'm going to use a smaller length of yarn, because I'm just going to cinch close. I don't need to seam anything. So again, starting with this stitch marker here. It was here. Start with weaving. I start with weaving in this end because I don't enjoy weaving in ends, and this is easy. I can do it while I'm working, so I don't have to take care of it later. And here. Here I am at the other stitch marker, and I'm going to pick this one as well. So here, I'm just going to pull this yarn, and because I didn't have a very long strand, so I won't be able to make this sit straight, but this is how it is. And now we'll just pull it to a close, just like the bottom. Here, tight, nice and tight, and I'm just going to insert this on the other side. This is where I started from, and nice and tight. Again, make sure that you don't break your yarn, but nice and tight. Here, and that's it. That's how this is shaped. Going to make sure this doesn't unravel. I'm going to weave in ends. and that's it. I'm going to cut the tail, and that's how it is. So the bottom here is seamed, the back here is seamed with a little bit of an overlap, and the top here is cinched close. So this is how it looks. Now we're going to add a button here. So just like this one, I'm going to add a button here. So you could use any other button. I made this one, I crocheted this, but you could use a regular button or any sort of button that you want over here. But I am going to make this, and then we're going to attach it. So here I have this button. I'm going to weave in the shorter end, which I didn't do earlier. Well, while we're crocheting, this is the back, and this is the front, but this side is the front of the button. So I'm going to weave this in at the back. Because we had a double loop, I'm not too worried about it coming undone, but I'm just still going to weave it in a couple of times. And cut. Now I'm going to use this longer strand, and I'm going to attach it to the slipper. And this will sit right here at the center where we had stitched close. So I'm just going to attach it over here. And that's it. So I'm just going to weave this end now. So here it is. The button is attached now, and the only one thing that remains is this crab stitch border. So you see that with time, this has been on that mannequin for a long time, and this sits properly. This sits well now. This will settle after a while. If you wear it for a little bit, it will start settling. So I'm just going to go ahead and make this crab stitch border, and then we will be done. Crab stitch border, I'm going to make it from the front side up. So I'm going to attach the yarn over here. I usually like to attach it somewhere close to the back of the foot, so in case there was a join that was visible, would not be visible in the front. So I have a separate tutorial for how to make this crab stitch, but I'm just going to go over it quickly over here. Just make a single crochet stitch, but not in the forward, in the next stitch, but in the previous stitch. So insert your hook. This one's slightly difficult because we seamed the two panels here, but just yarn over, pull through two, and keep going. So insert hook in the previous stitch, yarn over, pull through, and do it all around. So this part is optional. You don't have to do this, or you could pick any other border. I know some people struggle with this kind of border. I really like it, but it's not there are so many other beautiful borders that can be made, or you could even leave it as it is. I don't think the edge is bad at all, but I just feel that a border gives it a nice finished look. But if that's not for you, it's completely fine to leave it. At this point, just make sure that you wear your slippers and see that they fit you well. So just go around that section where this is cinched close, so just find the edge stitches that were before and after we closed that section off. Just go around. There's no real stitch count here. You can this is a very forgiving border stitch, so even if you have if you miss a stitch or if you add an extra one, that won't really matter. And here it is. It is complete with the border. I'm going to put it on the foot and show it to you. Oh, I will have to weave in ends here, so I'm going to do that first. And that's it. So this is very, very straightforward. I feel it's not a difficult pattern to make. It's just one rectangle, and then the shaping requires a little bit of effort, but that's it's very easy. So this is how they're looking, and these are US size 8. That's what I've used for the slippers in this tutorial. But if you want to make a different size, I have the written instructions and all different sizes from kids to adults on my blog, which you're welcome to check out. And I have a bunch of other tutorials, other slippers that I'm writing up, or I may have published at the time I published this video, but you're welcome to check everything out on my blog and on my YouTube channel. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to hit the bell button. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.